Hello and Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you all had wonderful holidays and welcome back to an all new season of Ottawa Real Estate Market Update, everyone's favorite regional and super niche monthly YouTube series. This year, we'll be bringing you some fresh new stats with all the same tired jokes. So let's get into it. We're gonna have some fun this month. We always have fun actually, but the January updates are my personal favorite because it's when we make our semi-bold predictions for the year to come. It's something we started last year, and for the 6 or 7 of you who actually watched last January's market update, you may recall that at the time, I made 10 predictions for 2024. Well, folks, 2024 is over, and because we're all about accountability here at the Papineau Group, we're going to be checking back on those predictions, and we're gonna see if I actually got any of them right. And then right after that, I'll be giving you a fresh new set of semi-bold predictions for 2025. You excited yet? Good. All right, so we'll get to all that prediction stuff in the second half of the video, but before we do that, we're gonna kick things off like we always do and run through the previous month's freehold and condo sales stats for this beautiful city of ours, Ottawa, Canada. All right, let's jump right in here and get those December freehold sales stats up on the screen for you. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Beautiful, just beautiful. For those of you who watched last month's market update, which by the way, was not many. Fun little aside for you here, actually. We learned the hard way last month that YouTube does not like it when you mention the name of a certain political figure, all right? And if you're not sure who I'm referring to, they're the person with very thin orange colored skin who will soon be in charge of a country that is just south of Canada, all right? I made the mistake of mentioning this person by name last month, and boy, did we ever get hammered by YouTube's algorithm as a result. So lesson learned, we will not be mentioning that person's name here ever again, all right? Moving forward, and when need be, we will simply refer to them as President. I don't think YouTube likes swearing either, but hey, pick your battles, right? Before that tangent, I was about to remind you that the way Ottawa's real estate statistics are collected changed rather unexpectedly a couple of months ago. In short, Ottawa used to include Ottawa plus pretty much any other town, municipality, village, etc. that was within, call it 90 minutes to maybe 2 hours of here, okay, in Ontario, of course. Now, however, Ottawa is really just Ottawa proper, all right? So as a result of that change, you can expect to see lower sales totals moving forward because we're now looking at a smaller geographic area. Cool? Cool. And speaking of sales totals, about time we get to it. In December, we sold a total of 385 freehold homes here in Ottawa proper. 385 was a massive drop from November, the month that came before December, where we sold 704 freehold homes, but that's not unusual, right? December is pretty much always our slowest month, and usually by a lot. To give you some added context, 385 sales is actually on the higher end of what you'd expect here in December, and it's also about 10% higher than each of our past 2 Decembers. So hey, good job, December 2024. Moving on, the average selling price of a freehold home in December was a little over $760K, and that, dear friends, was an improvement over last year's December average of about $732K, and it was also our highest December average ever. All right, so yes, we're using averages, and no, it's not an exact science, but I do feel very comfortable in telling you that on the whole, freehold property values in Ottawa ended 2024 higher than they were at the start of the year. Last but not least, at this time of year, because activity is already very low, and because a bunch of old listings come off the market, stats like inventory, sales to new listings ratio, and average time to sell can get pretty wonky. All right, if you recall, those are the 3 stats we typically use to assess whether we're in a balanced market, a seller's market, a buyer's market. But at this time of year, you have to take those stats with a pretty huge grain of salt. So to illustrate my point, we ended December with about 3.1 months of freehold inventory, which would indicate like a weakish seller's market. The average time to sell, however, was 45 days, which is perfectly balanced. But then our sales to new listings ratio is at about 122%. Which taken on its own would indicate that we are in literally the hottest seller's market we've ever seen. Like we would actually run out of properties to sell within a matter of months if that kept up. And we all know that's not gonna happen unless everyone starts listing with me. So it's very hard to accurately label a December market. That being said, if I had to do it, I'd say that our freehold market right now is like a weak seller's market that is suffering from a lack of good supply, if that makes sense. That'll do it for the freehold sales stats. Hope you had fun. Now let's move on to condos. And for the regulars who might be wondering, we've decided to drop the whole fake sponsor bit this year, mostly because I was just running out of ideas. But hey, if you would like to see us bring it back, let me know in the comments and yeah, I could be convinced. Actually, you know what's funny though? Unlike most of my jokes, another quick aside for you here. Over the last 7 or 8 months, as this channel has grown, believe it or not, I've started having actual companies reach out to see if I'd promote their products on this channel, which is just wild to me. Clearly they don't watch these updates. If they saw what I say about my sponsors, they probably changed their mind. Anyway, I've turned them all down, but there was one I considered saying yes to. It was like this skincare brand. They've actually reached out twice now. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be funny to do one of those typical cheesy influencer videos where I'm like, hey guys, like a lot of you have been asking about my skincare routine lately. So like I thought I'd show you, something like that. Anyways, yeah, if you are a real company and you're watching this, I will gladly make a video for your products on 2 conditions. 1, I get to make fun of your product, and 2, you pay me a lot of money to do it. If that sounds good to you, then hey, step into my office. All right, close tangent, where were we? Right, condo stats. Let's get those condo stats up on the screen for you in 1, 2, 3, OMG. So we sold a total of 162 condos in Ottawa in December. That's about 15% more than December 2023, and it's almost 30% more than December of 2022. So it seems like we crushed it, but if we look back a little farther, anyways, if we look back, we see that 162 condo sales is actually, it's within our typical December range, but it's on the lower end of said range. So condo sale trends continue to lag a bit behind freehold. That's a theme we've seen for quite a few months here now. Next, the average sale price of a condo in December was about $428K. Nothing new there because for over 2.5 years now, condo prices have been pretty flat in Ottawa. And what that's meant is that in every single month over that span, except one, more on that later, the average selling price for condos has landed somewhere between about 410K, about 410K and 455K, just like it did in December. Finally, as I just mentioned earlier in the freehold section, it's hard to say exactly what type of market we're in at this time of year because our ratios get a little drunk. But that being said, we ended December with about 4 months of condo inventory and an average time to sell of 42 days. Both of those stats are in balanced market territory, but our sales to new listings ratio for condos in December was 87%. That would indicate a strong seller's market. So again, you can more or less just throw those stats out at this time of year, but if I had to, I'd personally characterize our condo market as being fairly balanced right now. Cool? Cool. That'll do it for the stats, short and sweet this month. Now let's get to the fun stuff and let's make some semi-bold predictions for 2025. Shall we? All right, so before I jump in, the reason I call these semi-bold predictions is because I'm not being conservative when I make them, but I also believe that each prediction has like a realistic shot of coming true, if that makes sense, all right? In other words, like these aren't the things I think for sure will happen, but they're all things I think very much could happen. And so just to be crystal clear here, no one should be confusing these predictions with like surefire real estate advice, okay? These are just for fun. Anyone who's looking for real advice is more than welcome to reach out to me directly. Cool? All right, saying cool a lot this month. Now that that's out of the way, as I mentioned earlier, last year, 2024, we made 10 of these semi-bold predictions. So before we get all up into our 2025 predictions, let's take a look at how I fared in 2024. Spoiler alert, not great, sort of. All right, so the first 4 predictions I made last year all had to do with interest rates. So first, I predicted that the average 5-year fixed mortgage rate would be lower than the average 5-year variable mortgage rate for the entire year, all of 2024. Now, to give you a bit of context here, historically speaking, variable rates tend to be lower than fixed rates more often than not. So to have that be inverted for an entire calendar year would be quite rare. And I came so close so close to getting this one right. I'm relying on data from a website called wowa.ca, that's WOWA.ca, and they look at the average mortgage rate for the 9 largest mortgage lenders in Canada. So according to WOWA, the average 5-year fixed stayed below the average 5-year variable rate all year right up until December 11th of 2024. So December 11th is when the Bank of Canada announced its second straight mega rate drop, and that, unfortunately for me, fortunately for everyone else, pushed the average 5-year variable rate down to 4.92%, while the average 5-year fixed rate currently sits at 5.01%. All right, so that one is technically a miss, but in my defense, at any point in time in 2024, including the last 3 weeks of the year, you could have found a 5-year fixed rate that was lower than the 5-year variable rate. All right, so I feel like I should at least get like an asterisk on that one because it's my channel and I make the rules. My second and third, I'm having a really hard time with the numbers this one. My second and third predictions last year were grouped. I predicted that we would not see a single rate increase from the Bank of Canada in 2024. And I also predicted that the Bank of Canada would ultimately end up lowering interest rates by a total of 1 to 1.5% over the course of the year. I got the first part right. Bank of Canada did not raise rates at any time in 2024, so one for me. But it was another near miss on the second part of that prediction. The Bank of Canada went all fruit ninja on interest rates last year and wound up lowering them by a total of 1.75%. So I missed it by a quarter point, but to be honest, I'm not too upset about that one. I don't think anyone is. All right, next. I predicted that at the end of 2024, the average interest rate for a 5-year fixed mortgage would be somewhere between 4.5% and 5%. And as I just mentioned, we ended 2024 with an average 5-year fixed interest rate of 5.01%. Like, come on. I missed it. I missed it by a freaking rounding error, but hey, a miss is a miss. That one hurts though. That one hurts. 5.01%. Anyways, moving on. My fifth prediction for 2024 was that we would sell a total of between 16,000 and 17,000 homes in Ottawa for the entire year, and that's freehold and condos combined. Now, 16,000 to 17,000 sales would have marked a pretty significant increase from the previous year's total of about 13,300, that's 2023. And once again, I came fairly close here, but I ultimately missed by a few hundred homes. Right? Our residential sales totaled around 15,500 last year, so I was about 3.2% short of falling within the range that I had semi-boldly predicted. All right, so the hits keep on coming. My sixth prediction for 2024 was that condos would make up at least 30% of all residential sales for the year. And that would have been way up from the 24% that they accounted for in 2023. And again, keep in mind here that we were using the old definition of Ottawa, which is Ottawa plus any place within 90 minutes, give or take, to verify all of these. But yeah, this one was a major miss for me. Condos actually dropped in popularity in 2024, and they made up only 22.7% of our total sales. I wasn't even in the ballpark on that one. All right. Prediction 7 last year also had to do with condos. I predicted that we'd have at least 1 month in 2024 where the average selling price for condos surpassed the previous all-time high of $478,014. That all-time high was set in March of 2022, by the way, in case you're wondering. And as you can probably tell by now, I was bullish on condos coming into 2024, but clearly the market had other ideas. That prediction was also a miss. Our highest monthly average sale price for condos in 2024 came in May, and it was just under $472K, which of course is lower than $478K. So May's average also ended up being more of a random blip than anything. Condo prices wound up retreating to the low 400s for the rest of the year after that. And unfortunately, I clearly didn't know when to quit last year because I ended up making one more condo prediction, which of course also ended up being a miss. That prediction was that our monthly condo inventory levels would stay below the 3.8 month mark for the entire year. And things actually were looking pretty decent there for a while. We came close to 3.8 months, but we never passed it until October, where we hit 3.8 months of condo inventory. And then in December, we climbed all the way up to 4 months. So thanks a lot, condos. You made me look stupid in front of all my internet friends. All right, my final two predictions for 2024 were based on our residential freehold market. The first of those predictions was that our monthly freehold inventory levels would stay below the 4-month mark for the entire year, and that, dear friends, was a hit. I finally got one right. Our 2024 freehold inventory levels peaked at 3.8 months in October, and that is less than 4. I feel like the 1995 Atlanta Braves right now. Don't know how many people will get that reference, but believe me, it's a good one. And then my final prediction for 2024 was that the average selling price for freehold homes in Ottawa would stay above $700K for the entire year, or actually the entire year, because I'm on camera. And unfortunately, back to our regularly scheduled programming on this one, because I once again came very close here, but ultimately missed. The average selling price of a freehold home here stayed well above $700K for 11 out of the 12 months last year. The miss came in January, so right out of the gate, which saw an average sale price of about $682K. So I feel good in that I called the trend correctly. Unfortunately for my prediction, the trend just started a month later than I thought it would. So to recap, 2024, out of 10 semi-bold predictions, I got 2 correct. But I also came really close on like another 4 or 5 of my misses. All in all, I think my 2024 predictions turned out really well for everyone, right? I'm personally really happy about how close I came on most of these, not to mention the 2 that I nailed, but I also technically missed on 80%, which means that the people in the comments section still get to call me an idiot and tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I think we all kind of got what we wanted out of this, didn't we? Now that we're done with the recap, let's see if I can do better in 2025, shall we? All right, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. And by you all, I mean that like 3 or 4 of you are still watching at this point. But yeah, here we go. Giddy up, giddy up. These are my 12 semi-bold real estate predictions for 2025, and we're gonna go rapid fire here. Just like last year, we're kicking things off with predictions about interest rates. All right, so semi-bold 2025 prediction number 1. I'm gonna do the exact opposite of what I did last year, and I'm gonna predict that the average 5-year variable rate will remain lower than the average 5-year fixed rate throughout all of 2025, all right? That one's not really that bold, but we're gonna get a little spicier with prediction number 2. All right, my second prediction for 2025 is that the Bank of Canada will both cut and raise interest rates at various points throughout the year. Okay, I predict we'll see cuts and holds throughout the large part of the year, but I'm also predicting that we'll see at least 1 or 2 interest rate increases in the latter portion of the calendar year. So that's number 2. I got 2 more semi-bold interest rate predictions for you. While I am predicting that we'll see both cuts and increases to interest rates, I also predict that the cuts will outweigh the increases and that the net result will be that at the end of 2025, the Bank of Canada's rate will be between 0.5% and 1% lower than it is right now, okay? And finally, for interest rates, I predict that the average 5-year variable mortgage rate will dip below 4% at some point in 2025. In other words, I'm predicting that most folks will be able to get a variable mortgage rate somewhere in the 3s for at least a portion of this year. Now, let's move on to sales predictions. And a quick reminder here that moving forward, we're basing everything, including these predictions, on the stats for Ottawa proper, okay? We're no longer including rural communities outside the city like Renfrew, Winchester, Hawkesbury, Brockville, etc. Okay, so bye. All right, so in 2024, we sold a total of 11,737 homes in Ottawa. That's freehold and condos combined. I am predicting that in 2025, we will eclipse that total and sell at least 13,500 freehold homes plus condos here, okay? So I am very bullish on sales volume for the year, and the Papineau Group is gonna do their part, don't you worry. All right, next, even though I just predicted that we'll sell a lot more homes in 2025 than we did last year, I am also predicting that condos will make up a smaller percentage of our total sales in 2025 than they did in 2024. Okay, now just for context, condos made up 27.67% of our total residential sales in Ottawa proper last year. And also, just for the record, it's not that I'm bearish on condos for 2025. I'm just very bullish on freehold, and I think we'll see more growth there than we do in condos. All right, I'm starting to sound like a finance bro here with all this bullish and bearish talk. All right, let's move on. My next prediction, okay, and we're going to stay with condos for a little while longer here. I've told you time and time again on these updates that the average monthly selling price for condos in Ottawa has been flat for 2.5 years now, right? Except for the one blip in May of this year, the average monthly sale price for condos in Ottawa has landed somewhere between $410,000 and $455,000 every single month since the middle of 2022. I've repeated that a million times, all right? Well, if my 7th and 8th predictions are right, that all changes this year. That's right, folks. I may just be a glutton for punishment, but I am predicting that we'll have at least 3 months, not 1, not 2, 3 months in 2025 where the average sale price for condos ends up above $455K. And I also predict that we'll set a new all-time high monthly average sale price for condos at some point in 2025. I will remind you that the number to beat there is $478,014. All right? So hey, if I keep making the same prediction every year, I'm bound to get it right at some point, right? All right, so we're gonna move over to freehold for my final few predictions here. Prediction number 9 is that Ottawa's freehold inventory levels will stay below 3.5 months, AKA will stay in seller's market territory for the entire year. We are now down to our final 3 predictions for 2025, and so it's time to get a little bolder, all right? These final 3 predictions are going to be like semi-bold predictions. Not sure that makes sense, but anyways. Prediction 10, I am predicting that the monthly average selling price for freehold homes in Ottawa will stay at or above $750K for every single month in 2025, all right? And in that same vein, I also predict that the average selling price of freehold homes here for all of 2025, right? So our yearly average sale price will be above $800K, okay? Now, just for context, our yearly average has only ever broken $800K one time, and that was in 2022, which was of course when real estate prices here hit their all-time peak. All right. That's 11 predictions down. Got one last one to go, and we're gonna end things with a bang. So 2 years ago, 2023, there were a total of four, got it right this time, residential sales in Ottawa on MLS, which either hit or exceeded the $4 million mark. Then in 2024, Ottawa once again saw a total of 4 residential sales of $4 million or higher. Okay, so my final prediction is this. I predict that in 2025, Ottawa will have at least eight residential sales of at least $4 million. I told you we're gonna end things with a bang. Oh, by the way, if you're looking to buy or sell a $4+ million home in 2025, don't be shy. Give me a call, send me a message. And hey, for the record, the same thing goes for anyone looking to buy or sell a $300,000 home or really anything in between. We don't discriminate here at the Papineau Group. We genuinely love helping people achieve their real estate goals, and we do make sure that all of our clients get that first-class luxury experience no matter their budget. So if you'd like to chat, you can book a discovery call with me using the Calendly link in this video's description, or you can just call or message me directly using this contact information right here. Thank you as always for watching my videos all the way to the end. I hope you had fun. I'm Serge Papineau with the Papineau Group. I had fun, and I'll see you next month.